Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, altcoins, and the general macroeconomic outlook, the US dollar currency index, and the stock market. We're basically going to be talking about everything, but how it ties back to Bitcoin and the altcoin market and how you can manage your risk accordingly. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the premium list sale at intothecryptoverse.com. Let's go ahead and jump in. I've seen a lot of people ask questions like, is the altcoin market going to rally soon? Or some people are saying that it is. Some people are saying that it's not. And I wanted to provide my general thoughts on the outlook here. So one of the things we've mentioned, and I said this in early Q1, is that my general outlook for Q1 is bearish for Bitcoin or neutral at best. And neutral at best means that it's basically going to close. The best case scenario I can imagine would be Bitcoin closing Q1 at around the place that it opened, so around 46K. That would be the best case scenario, in my opinion, for Q1. I'm not talking about Q3 or Q2 or Q4. I'm talking about Q1. So the best case scenario would be closing at around 46K. The worst case, obviously, would be bearish, meaning we could be at lower prices. And we already did go to lower prices. We went down to $33,000 earlier this quarter. But I wanted to talk about a few things and how everything kind of comes together from a macro or a macro outlook here. So we have the situation where inflation is running out of control, and the last CPI print was 7.5%. Now, obviously, a lot of people are saying that's really an underestimate because a lot of goods cost a lot more than 7.5% measured from a year ago, but that's just what it is. That's what the number we have, 7.5% year over year. Meaning that if you had left money in your bank account for the last year, it would have lost 7.5% of its value. So then why are people flocking to the relative safety of fiat currency or the US dollar when you have inflation running sky high and just sitting in the US dollar, you're losing money? Well, one of the reasons I think is because of macroeconomic uncertainty. And what I'm talking about in general is a number of things, okay? So because you have inflation, right? Obviously inflation is one thing, but because you have it, people are sort of wondering, okay, what is the Fed going to do about it? Are they going to, are they going to taper? Are they going to roll over the balance sheet? Obviously, they've said yes to all these things. They are going to taper. They are going to be rolling over the balance sheet. We're heading towards quantitative tightening. And in fact, I think in March, the market's already pricing in a 0.25% raise on interest rates. Now, what's funny is that a 0.25% raise is basically nothing, and it's unlikely to accomplish much of anything. But I do think it's important for the Fed that they at least show that they're trying to fight inflation. Whether that has an effect or not is sort of anyone's guess, but they have to at least show that they're trying to fight inflation. So if they're trying to fight inflation and they are raising interest rates and they're rolling over the balance sheet, and furthermore, we are just generally heading towards a phase of quantitative tightening, then how can we look at the stock market or the crypto market and say, yeah, everyone's just wanting to just throw all their money in these markets right now? Because I don't think that's true, right? I think that we are still in a very fragile place. And the reason we're in a fragile place, again, is not only because of what the Fed's doing, and by the way, if you think back to 2013, we had the taper tantrum where investors in the stock market basically threw a tantrum when the Fed decided they were just all of a sudden going to taper, and the stock market didn't like that. But what's funny is this time they sort of advertised it months in advance so that the market could price it in months in advance. So here we are, right? I mean, we've been in a downtrend for 3 months now. So in addition to all that, you also have this Russia-Ukraine uncertainty. And I am not a geopolitical expert. I'm not going to pretend to be, but there are at least a lot of people on Twitter who claim to be geopolitical experts. They've all of a sudden become a lot more educated on geopolitical matters in the last few weeks. So what I would say is that when I'm looking at a market like this, and I'll just try to explain how I manage my risk in this type of situation. When I look at a market like this and I see several things, right? I see quantitative tightening, okay? We see a lot of macroeconomic uncertainty. We see the dollar still above its own bull market support band. We see Bitcoin below its bull market support band. I cannot look at those conditions and say that it's the best scenario for altcoins. Okay, I cannot say that, oh yeah, like this is the best setup for altcoins that exists, because it's not, okay? And the reason I say that is not to to make you feel bad. I have altcoins in my portfolio. I would stand to benefit if they go up, not if they go down. But I have to be honest and say, look, this is just the way it is. And I wish I controlled the way it was, but I don't. And the way it is right now is altcoins are very fragile when Bitcoin's below the bull market support band. And Bitcoin's below the bull market support band right now, potentially because of all this macroeconomic uncertainty and also the Nasdaq and the stock market. The S&P has been selling off recently. Altcoins do the best when Bitcoin is going sideways above its bull market support band, like here and here in 2020 or in early 2021 or in later 2021. Those are the best conditions for altcoins. If you think back to the summer, altcoins didn't really accomplish a whole lot until Bitcoin had the impulsive move to get back above its bull market support band. Okay, so remember that. Altcoins did not have a crazy rally until after that came. And in the same manner, we're still below the bull market support band now. So I can't look at this and say, well, altcoins are primed to rally. It doesn't mean they can't rally. I mean, if Bitcoin does get above it and go sideways, then they could rally. But I would argue that it's operating a bit too deterministically to think that has to happen in the next few weeks. Okay, so hope for the best, plan for the worst. And the worst case scenario would be Bitcoin getting rejected off of its bull market support band and then trending back down. Okay, so you have to plan for all scenarios. All right. So if you go look at a few things here. So if you go look at the Nasdaq, you can see that we have a low and we have a higher low. If it goes up and the dollar comes back down and then Bitcoin gets above its 20-week, then that'll be good for altcoins. However, if the Nasdaq, instead of putting in a higher low, puts in a lower low, then that's not good for the crypto markets. And what you'll likely see if that plays out is you'll see altcoins bleed against Bitcoin still. Okay, so one of the interesting things is despite the fact that Bitcoin is $9,000 or $10,000 higher than where it was just a couple weeks ago, there's a lot of altcoins that are still more or less at the same valuations that they were a couple weeks ago, or they're not far off of them. So if Bitcoin were to drop another 10 or 20% or something, then the altcoin valuations against the US dollar would likely take out their prior lows back when Bitcoin was at $33,000. And the reason it's important to think about that, I'm not trying to say you need to do anything with your current positions or anything like that, because I'll be honest, I have no idea what's going to happen in the short term. But if you're looking to allocate capital into cryptocurrency and you think that, oh yeah, like let me put everything to altcoins because someone on Twitter told me that we're going to have an alt season next week, you should consider the potential scenario where Bitcoin still remains below its bull market support band. And if it does, then we're likely not going to see an alt season immediately. Let's suppose the best case scenario plays out. The best case scenario would be Bitcoin gets above its bull market support band, holds it as support, and then continues higher. If that happens, you would still have plenty of time to buy altcoins when the market isn't quite as fragile. But because we're looking at the Nasdaq's down, we're looking at the stock market down, the dollar's still in an uptrend above its bull market support band, we're seeing all that in addition to Bitcoin being below its bull market support band. How can we sit here and assume that altcoins are in the best condition to rally, right? Like they're not. Like this is not the best conditions for altcoins to rally. You need to accept that. You need to understand that. If you don't accept what the market is telling you, then you're not going to like this asset class, okay? And and what I'm saying right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it's going to look in 3 months. It doesn't mean that it's going to look like that in 6 months. But it looks like that right now, right? Like right now, that's the way it looks. And so you should focus on protecting your capital rather than just betting the family farm on any dip. Okay, so how can you navigate the market? Well, again, being heavy in blue chips I think can make sense, but also having cash on hand can also make a lot of sense too. So please be responsible. Please understand that altcoins do remain risky as long as Bitcoin remains below its bull market support band. And if you want to pay to get a altcoin in a less risky environment, then what you have to do is you have to either wait until Bitcoin gets above it and holds it as support and then buy those altcoins once you see strength from Bitcoin, even though you're admitting that you're not going to buy it at the bottom. Or if you keep waiting and the bottom falls out here, then you could buy altcoins later on at much cheaper prices. So if you want to take on less risk for altcoins, then you basically have to pay to play, right? You have to pay to see what the market's going to do. And the way you pay is you just keep cash on hand in case, just to see what the market's going to do in the short term. And then that way you can come in from a position of strength later on. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, we do have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. We have a sale going on. We'll leave that running for another week or two, so make sure you check it out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.